Hi all, welcome to this video on how to create a drop-down nav. First thing we're going to do is create a project folder. I've called mine drop-down, nav drop-down, sorry, very inventive. So let's go to this folder and create an index.html and also a styles.css file. What we need to do here is put our exclamation mark in and then hit tab if we're in the right file, of course. There we go. And in here just drop down nav. That will do. And just put anything in here, such as, I don't know, hello, save. Right, I did that because if you don't put something in the body, then the live server extension complains a little. And if you haven't got a live server, go to your extensions, search for live server, click and install from here. Right, let's go back to here, and if we right click on index, open with live server, and there you go. Anything you do in here and save, automatically updated. Anyway, you should probably already know that. So, what do we want to do here? Well, the first thing we want to do is create a nav element, I would have thought. So let's do that. And inside here I'm going to create a nav container. I'm going to give this a class of nav container. The reason being is because I want the navigation bar to blow across the whole of the window, and the actual container I want to be able to manipulate to put the menu where I want it to go, so it could be 80% of the width of the whole screen. It'll be a lot more clearer as we go on, but in here I'm going to create an unordered list with the class of main menu. There we go. And in here I'm going to create some LIs. I'm going to create 4, and within them are going to be anchor tags. So that's the shorthand if you name it, else you can just type that out. For this one we're going to put home. For this one we're going to put movies. This one team. This one contact. For home I'm just going to put hashtag, and the same for contact. In these two I'm going to actually remove the href altogether, because those won't actually be anchor tags, they'll be the headings of the sub menus. The reason I'm leaving the anchor tags in is so the styling will be consistent. But if we save that, you'll see them here. Let's just zoom in a bit. There we go. In fact, let's zoom in everywhere so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Right, so I think the first thing to do is to probably style this up. I also want to put in a logo, so if I do logo, I'm going to put in here a span. That's going to be MTW. That's going to be, let's be a bit creative. Geeksville. Save. There we go. And we'll come back, I think, and put the submenus in after we've styled the bar. So let's go up here. In fact, let's go to Google Fonts. I'm going to use Montserrat as my main font and Rubik Distressed as the logo font. So if I import all that into my style sheet, there we go. Now they're available. Here I'm going to do global settings, and so we'll use the wildcard asterisk to get everything, and I'm going to say padding none, No, that's not correct. 0. Margin 0. I'm actually going to put text decoration none in there. I'm also going to put list style none. So the text decoration will remove the underlines from links. Let's have a look. These here. And the list style none will remove these bullet points. So if I just save that, dear me, save. That won't work because of course we haven't linked the style sheet, which would help, wouldn't it? Styles, there it is. Save, there you go. So it's remove the underlines and the bullet points and the padding and the margin. I'm also going to do box sizing for the box. So any padding we give doesn't affect the overall size. In fact, do we want to do that? Yes, let's leave that there. And also, may as well put the font in here. Font family. Go back to the Google fonts. We can see that we can copy the rule from there, paste it in there. There we go. However, this is going to be a different font. Oops, excuse me. This is going to be a different font. We'll get to that shortly. So, I do want to style the body up just so we can differentiate between the body and the nav bar. So I'm going to put body. I'm going to do a height 100 viewport height and width of 100 viewport width. And if you go to Google and type in CSS gradient generator, something like that, then you can go to somewhere like this and you can mess about, create a gradient to your liking, and then it'll output the CSS for you, which is brilliant. I've already done that, so I'm going to copy it from off screen and I'm going to put it in here and then I'll save, and that's what I've got. So there we go. So that's the body. Let's move on to the navigation. Let's scroll down a bit. Right, so we want a bar to go across the top. So what I'm going to do is nav display flex, align items center, justify content center, and there you go. So if we give this a background color of something like this, there you go. You can see that that is our nav bar. Its height has been auto-generated because of its contents. I'm going to give it a box shadow as well of 0. So it's XY blur is how I remember it. X is 0, 2 pixels Y, 5 pixels blur. RGBA I usually use. So that means you can make it a black, but a black that's 0.5 in transparency. And there you go. See that subtle effect. When you can put 25 there, and it's even more subtle. That looks quite nice, actually. I'm going to leave that. Right, I'm also going to, in fact, I'm going to do it up here. So this is the settings area, really. I'm going to apply settings to all anchor tags, because I know that they're all going to contain these properties. So I'm going to do the color inherit, save. There you go. Now everything's the same color, and even though it already is, in fact, I don't need to do that font family because we've set it throughout. So going to leave it at that. In fact, if we go up here, go to color, and say something like, I don't know, no, that's too light. Let's do BBB. That's also too light. Let's just pick one from here. That'll do. Very subtle difference, but there we go. So I want to actually style the nav container now. So just, yeah, let's just reference the class. So we want to display this as flex also, and I want the flex direction to be row, and there you go. So the UL, if we just go back here, we've got two different items within the nav container. We've got a UL and we've got a div, and they are side by side because they're in a row. So what I'm going to do is give it a width of 80% of the container. I'm also going to give it a min width so it doesn't get too small. Align items center. There we go. So if I put a little border around this, border 1 pixel solid red, you can see that it's been placed in the middle. Now I want this logo to be over here and the menu to be over here. Some people like it the other way around, but that's easily changed once you've got this sorted, and I'll show you shortly. So under here I'm going to do justify content, and I'm going to do space between, and there you go. So probably can remove this border now, and there we have it. So we want to basically do the same thing here by giving this the flex display and putting that in a row as well. So I'm going to go to main menu, which if we have a look here is the actual list itself. And let's put display flex and flex direction row, and there we go. Those are in a row as well. You could put a gap here of whatever you wanted to do, but we're not going to do that because I want to put some padding onto those, and I want them to sit next to each other so it flows a bit better. Scroll down a bit. So we want to target the list items themselves. So main menu, direct list item children. And here we've done a list style of none. We just want position of relative. Save. And this will come into play a bit later on. What it means is anything, any child of a list item can be positioned relative to this list item. And of course, when we put the submenu in, it will be a child of this. But I don't want to confuse you too much, so let's just move on. Main menu, li. Let's look at the anchor tags. Let's display block, line height 2.4 rem. Let's give it some padding of, let's say, 30 pixels all round. And change the cursor to a pointer. See what that looks like. So yeah, I'm going to move this over a touch. In fact, let's just get back to an actual size so you can see it properly. There we go. Sort this out. Right. Hope you can still see that. Right, let's deal with the hover then, shall we? Main menu li hover. So what we're going to do here, well, I'm just going to change the background colour, I suppose. Background colour. I have already got one in mind. It's written down, who am I kidding? There you go. So hover over. There you have it. But I don't want it to just appear, I want a transition on the background colour of 0.5 seconds. There you go. Very subtle, but makes a difference. That's why I didn't want the gap in between, because otherwise you'd have nothing. You'd have a highlight, nothing, then a highlight. With them sitting next to each other, it's just a nicer experience. Anywho, let's move on to the logo. Before we get to the subnav, which is the whole point of this tutorial, so thank you for bearing with me. We want to change the font family. In fact, let's point to the logo first. Font family. Let's go back to the Google fonts, and we want font family Rubik Distressed. There we go. Doesn't look that great at the minute. Font size. Let's make it 2 rem. Let's change the colour to RGB. Okay. Don't need a line height on that, but logo span. Going to change the colour of that to steel blue. And the font may change better. Oh, it already has, look. So let's do there we go. That'll do. So we've got the menu, we've got a logo. Submenu time. Right, let's go and put it in. So in the list item, we're going to do UL, and within there, we're going to do list items. I'm going to do 6, and within there, going to be anchor tags. There we go. And within each of these, I'm just going to put hashtag. So let's do Star Wars. Let's do Avengers. Let's do Macadam. Let's move this over a little bit. What else? Good old Predator. Alien. Man of Steel. Save. And there you go. So this is what I was getting at before with the positioning. Let's just put another submenu in first. Let's just copy that. Go into Team. Paste. I'm going to put in here Yoda. Tony Stark. Ted Adam. Good old Arnie. Ripley. Clark Kent. There we go. Smooth this over a bit. Okay, now we can go back to the CSS. So, we want to position this subnav so it's not within this container. So, let's do submenu position absolute submenu. Have I put submenu in? No. Submenu class. And there. There we go. Now you can see it's a separate entity. Right then, I want to do left 0. So it all lines up to the left. I want to do a width of 200. Not that you'll see that just yet. What else do I want to do? Give it a background color of the same. Border radius. So top left will be 0, top right will be 0, bottom right will be 5 pixels, and bottom left will be 5 pixels. There we go. And I'm also going to put an overflow of hidden. Like that. I will come, actually let's just put in transition for visibility, the word that's really hard to spell, well type, opacity, 0.5 seconds, I'll explain that in a minute. So, the sub menu, we're going to take visibility here and say hidden. And we're also going to take opacity and say 0, and that hides them. So the sub menu is hidden. The hidden means that we can't get at it, accidentally click it, because if we just put opacity then it would be just see-through, but it'd still be there. And in here we're going to do basically the same as this, copy, but we are actually going to be hovering the list item, and we are going to be affecting the sub menu. Oops. And then we're going to take these, put them in there, make this visible, and make this 1. There you go. So now we need to sort these out. So we can go dot sub menu li a, and we probably want to do the same as we did before with the others. Display block, padding 20 pixels top and bottom, 30 pixels left and right. See how that looks. Yeah, not bad, not bad. There we go. We want to be able to hover them as well, don't we? So copy, and we can actually just put it here and say hover. Let's just put those in. There you go. So if we look at the bottom of the window down here, you can see that anywhere in there is linked. This is not. These are. As are these. So is that. And this one, we could also link actually back to if you wanted to, you could link that back to wherever. So then we'd need to go to the logo, say logo A. There we go. So we can link that back to the home page, for example, which is the usual thing to do. But there you go. That is the drop-down menu. That's that. If you liked it, please stick a thumbs up. Like and subscribe, please. Much appreciated. And I'll catch you in the next one.